Welcome everyone to the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here for the penultimate race of the Neon Short Championship. This is actually a race decider for the championship, because if Lewis scores points and Max doesn't, Lewis should be able to get the championship. Although the constructors, well, both Red Bulls would not score for Mercedes to take the constructors championship. But there's still a really close fight for second place in the championship for the drivers. So even if Lewis does win that, it'll be good to see who comes out in second, because even Pierre Gasly has a chance at taking that second step on the championship. And after that outstanding performance he pulled in France, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it. Looking back at last race, it was an interesting strategy pulled off by all the 10 teams, and I think AlphaTauri was just above everyone else, because as we remember, Pierre Gasly didn't have the best strategy in his favor, and he managed to work his way up the grid in order to take P4 or gain back P4 after that strategy that AlphaTauri did have a bit flawed, but eventually the drivers' work made up for it, and Daniel Kvyat got his first lot of points since his fault in Bahrain. But anyways, let's get into the Chinese Grand Prix. So we're here, race day. We're looking at the penultimate race decider, and this will be one hell of a race, because we've got to look at the front row, especially due to that decider that we've got going on, and also looking at the midfield, because Pierre Gasly, as we remember, he's been strong constantly throughout the championship and will possibly take a win, this race, because he's shown such good form. He's taken P4 twice. I'm pretty sure he's taken P4 here, as a matter of fact. We'll look into that later. But a bit about this track, I kind of missed the diagram there, but this track is a very technical circuit. You need to get every corner right, different acceleration, throttle in certain sectors. Sector 2 is actually one of the challenging parts of this circuit, so it'll be interesting to see by all the drivers and how they master it. But yeah, as you can see on the championship here, Lewis got a fairly good lead, and it's because Max had that little incident at the beginning of France last race, and I'm sure Max will be frustrated and will work very hard to take the win this race, because if he wants to still have a chance for the championship, he's going to need to take a win, or at least get on the podium. But anyways, let's have a look at the grid and everyone's qualifying results. Lewis Hamilton take first, unsurprisingly. Valtteri Bottas takes second. Third, Verstappen. Gasly fourth. Albon fifth. Stroll sixth. Leclerc 7th, Vettel 8th, Sainz, Norris, Perez, Ricciardo, Ocon, Kvyat, Antonio Giovinazzi and Raikkonen, Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell and Latifi round off the back of the grid, and let's get into this magnificent Grand Prix. Here we go, 28 laps of the Chinese Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. It looks like not good of a start for Pierre Gasly. I'm pretty sure he's falling behind. Yeah, he's having Sebastian Vettel having a go up the inside, and he gets tagged along, and he gets hit by Pierre Gasly, and he gets hit by one of the McLarens, actually. I think that was Carlos Sainz, and that's another misfortune for Ferrari, because Ferrari haven't had a good championship this season at all. They've had misfortune after misfortune constantly, and it's not looking good for Ferrari and the constructors so far, apart from last race. But anyways, looking at the rest of the grid, it looks like the backmarkers are having a real good fight into the hairpin of turn 4. Now heading into turn 5 and 6, it seems that Antonio Giovinazzi's defending off of, I think that looks like Romain Grosjean. So Giovinazzi's having a go, and I think we should expect an overtake on the one of the longest straights on the calendar. But that'll be interesting to see later on throughout the Grand Prix. Now, Pierre Gasly has not had a good start at all. He's fallen back behind, and I'm pretty sure Albon got a jump on him as well. So Albon's now up a place, and remembering Pierre Gasly's kind of in a championship fight with him. So Albon's starting to prove himself after front after Canada, sorry, because as we remember in Canada, he was not exactly significant in the championship or the racing in total. But looks like Lando Norris is having a go at his teammate into the hairpin, and into the final corner they go. Who comes out ahead? Lando Norris comes out ahead, so Sainz has clearly got some damage on his car, otherwise he would not have lost that position as easily. And that might be the racing point of Sergio Perez also going to have a look at Carlos Sainz and hopefully gain that position from him. So we'll have a look later, but I'm pretty sure he's taken some damage, so yeah, we'll most definitely need to check the replay to see how that turned out. But Carlos Sainz has not had a good championship at all. The only good race he's had is at Bahrain where he took P4, but it's not turned out well for Carlos this race, and he gets a bit of wheel spin on the exit of turn 4. So maybe there's extra damage that's gone along with it, maybe some mechanical issues, but that's something we've got to find out later in the race. So Max Verstappen now, he's in P3, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's in P3, being attacked by his teammate who's in P4, and Albon's been showing some good pace in the past 2 races, including this one. And so Albon may even take the position from Max, and in the end he might even get a podium. So that's something we'll just have to see later throughout this race. Max Verstappen doesn't have the straight line speed. He has a little bit of slipstream, but not enough to make a move on Valtteri Bottas into this hairpin. So maybe Bottas's plan, or the team's plan, is for Bottas to hold up Verstappen just enough so Lewis can gain a good, gap between the two of them, and hopefully gain enough points to maintain that lead and have a better advantage into Abu Dhabi. But look at that, Carlos Sainz has been overtaken by Sergio Perez. It's not looking good for Carlos Sainz. He's being challenged by what looks like Esteban Ocon. No, it's Daniel Ricciardo, sorry. So Ricciardo's having to go on the outside into turn 1, but Sainz is fighting back. He's taking the inside line, and he's probably going to take the outside into turn 2, but can he make it stick? It doesn't look like it. Those softs, although he's got the soft tires, which are faster than mediums, I guess that damage he's taken is not helping him at all. So I think we'll get to replay very shortly. But yeah, Carlos Sainz does not have much luck this race. He's falling back every so often, and I think he's going to need to take a pit stop soon because he's falling back very much. But looking at the race start, now let's see Sebastian Vettel's point of view, because he's the whole reason why Sainz has had this issue in the first place. So he gets actually a really good start. He gets around the inside of Pierre Gasly, and he just turns out and hits the rear of Pierre Gasly, and then his car just starts spinning. So I think that might be Sebastian Vettel's fault there, not exactly Pierre Gasly's. So let's look at Sainz's point of view. He gets an okay start. It's a mediocre start, I'd say. And he's just a passenger at this point. He just sits and watches, and then he doesn't have enough time to react because he has Charles on his right. So we can't turn in, and if he does turn in, he would have spun as well. So let's look at Gasly, because I'm pretty sure he stuck to the racing line. He left enough space for Vettel, plenty of space as a matter of fact. So let's see how he took it. Yeah, a lot of wheel spin on the start, so that's why he bogged down a lot. And then he left enough space, and I guess Vettel just didn't think so, so he turned just to be safe, and ended up spinning. So looking back at the race currently, lap 4. Pierre Gasly's gonna try his best to come back to Albon, because Albon's fallen away from Max, and I think Max is getting closer to Bottas every lap. And since DRS is now enabled, not disabled, he should be able to get him on the straight. But as we saw, Max isn't exactly at the straight line speed this race, so maybe it's a Red Bull setup that they've come up with, so they don't have the straight line speed but the corners instead, because as we can see, he's showing good pace through the corners, just the straights he just doesn't have that same pace as Mercedes does. So maybe it's just a Red Bull thing, but something we'll just have to look into later. But as a matter of fact, we're gonna look at the straight, because we haven't seen them with DRS just yet. So let's have a look at Max and what he can do on the straight. So DRS is enabled, but actually we don't see that just yet, but it looks like Charles Leclerc up the inside of that I don't know what you want to call it, the penultimate corner before the straight. And Stroll gets overtaken, and heading into the hairpin, I don't exactly have a visual. They're still side by side. Charles Leclerc heading up the inside of the hairpin, having a go at Pierre Gasly, but Pierre Gasly defends off just enough, so Charles Leclerc stays behind. Now heading into the final corner, he's going to get challenged by Lance Stroll, who's also being challenged by Lando Norris. So this will be an interesting fight on this lap. It looks like Lance Stroll is going to look for an overtake, maybe into the turn 1, but no, he doesn't have enough pace on the straight to make a move just yet. So maybe Charles' main aim is to overtake Gasly, but looking at his current pace, I think he better defend off of Stroll and Norris, because they seem to be showing consistent pace into each corner. But it looks like Gasly's a bit slow on the exit of turn 2, so Charles has a little look, and I think he just got blocked off by Gasly into turn 4. So I think Gasly's a bit slower on this track. He has struggled at the start, or for the entire race from what it seems, and he's just holding people up, but then he pulls away in the start of sector 2. So I'm not sure what's going on with Gasly here, but maybe it's something mechanical, or just he's not got the same skill as the other drivers around this track. But we'll have a look at the straight, because Ferrari has significant pace against AlphaTauri. Although they were okay in France, AlphaTauri just don't seem to be strong around the circuit. So let's have a look. Charles Leclerc, he has straight line speed, he's got DRS now. He doesn't enable his ERS yet. He enables it now just a little bit there. But I just think Gasly's got the better straight line speed. I don't know how that's happened, but Gasly's just got the better straight line speed. And now Stroll's fallen behind, so now... wait, actually they're entering the pits for the first pit stop. So lap 6, it seems, for the 2 stoppers, they're heading in for the first set of pit stops. So let's see what tire Charles goes on to. He goes on to mediums. So yeah, definitely expecting, to go to the end, not to the end, sorry, to as long as possible to gain some time on the rest. So as we look at Gasly, it's a good exit out of the pit exit, and yeah, so Gasly's looking strong actually. He's gone into softs, I just realized. So Gasly's got the soft tires, so he's pulling away from Charles quite fast, I must say. So I guess AlphaTauri's game here is to just gain as much as possible, because I actually forgot to mention, China's more, it's a strategically important race. So it's just like France, you need to have a good strategy to gain good track position. So one-stoppers will benefit from, this whole format, well, a lot more than the other drivers that are doing 2 stops. And the drivers that are most likely to do 2 stops are the ones that got into Q3. So Max Verstappen, Lewis, Bottas and Albon, they're most likely going to pit around similar laps, but to avoid double stacking, which I don't think either teams want to risk, I think, yeah, so Bottas and Verstappen pit first, and then it'll be Albon and Lewis. So yeah, I think that's a good call from both teams. So Bottas is going to be made to just stick with Verstappen just to hold him up enough. Wait, he's going on to hards. So wait, Bottas is doing a 1-stop along with Verstappen. So maybe it's just the middle pack of the grid that are just doing 2 stops. I'm not sure, but it seems they're doing a 1-stop, which is very surprising. I'm not going to lie, because it's expected for the hard tires not to last to the end of the race. Considering this is a very high tire wear track. So this track is not kind to tires. That's all I can really say. And so that's quite surprising. They've gone with hards this early in the race, lap 6. So they've got to go to the end on those tires. So the 2 stoppers will be stronger with pace, although they will fall behind due to their second stop. Gasly locks up into that corner, so I'm not sure what's going on with his car. He's not showing much pace. He wasn't showing much pace with his earlier set of tires, so I'm not sure what's going on with Gasly's end. But since he's on the soft tires, he's gaining onto the back markers a lot faster, since they're on older and slower cars. So they're on older mediums, meaning they will be significantly slower compared to the AlphaTauri of Gasly and the soft tires. And Leclerc is actually falling behind a little bit as well, so I guess the soft tires are really powerful, but as we all know, soft tires are really short on life, so Gasly's going to need to stretch as much life as he can out of these tires and, you know, gain as many positions as possible, because if he doesn't, then it'll all be a waste all for nothing. So he makes a successful move on the straight. I thought that would have been a lot easier, considering that Williams is not as fast as the AlphaTauri, but I guess not. So looking ahead, both Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas on their hard tires. Wait, there seems to be Albon who just comes out ahead of his teammate. Will there be team orders? Will Albon have to let Verstappen through? Because I'm sure Red Bull wants Max to get that Drivers' Championship win, since he's got the most points out of the two of them. But it doesn't seem any team orders are coming into play. As a matter of fact, it seems that Albon has more pace than Verstappen. So I'm not sure what's going on with Red Bull, but I think Mercedes has got it all planned out, because Valtteri Bottas is still up ahead, and I'm pretty sure Lewis is already pitted, so Lewis is all the way ahead of all this traffic. So Lewis is most likely going to win this race if he manages to keep the same form and hopefully not take a retirement. That would definitely dent his mark. That would definitely leave a mark in the championship, and that's something Mercedes just doesn't want, because as we know, Valtteri Bottas had a retirement in the early stages of France. It was lap 3 he took a retirement, and now Valtteri Bottas is going to have to recover from that. And he's doing his best, as we can see, but he's actually equalizing speed with George Russell on the straight, which is surprising to see, because you'd think that Mercedes are a lot faster on the straight, but I guess Russell's got that good fighting spirit. But so the traffic seems to be a lot challenging for the front runners than they would have probably thought. So that might hold the front runners enough so that Gasly can catch up and make up for the mistake he made at the start. Valtteri Bottas makes a good move into turn 1 on the inside of George Russell. So Russell definitely has a chance to get into Mercedes next year, but I'm not quite sure how that will turn out, but that's something we've got to wait and see for next season. So the two Red Bulls are also having a go. I forgot to mention into turn 1 they were both side by side. And look up here, Gasly's up the inside into turn 4, overtaking both Red Bulls out whilst they're fighting side by side. So both Red Bulls are still fighting, and look what that cost them. It cost them both the position, so they've both dropped down 1 place. And I'm pretty sure Max Verstappen got ahead of. Wait, no, never mind. Max ended up backing down. So not sure what's going on with Red Bull here. They have to, team orders have to come into play here, because there's no way that Christian Horner is going to be too happy with all this fighting, because they're losing position, and it's not really slow how fast they're losing it, because they're losing the position quite fast. As we saw, Gasly closed in on them like it was nothing. So Gasly's going to end up probably pushing for Valtteri Bottas, and as we know, the two of them are really good at overtaking each other. As we remember in Canada, they had a really good fight in the last stages of the race. But up the inside goes Pierre Gasly, up another double overtake, I'm pretty sure, on the straight. He overtook one and then took a dive bomb on the other. But look at Alex Albon taking the inside line of the final corner side by side with what looks like George Russell. He manages to make the move. Now, will Max Verstappen make the move on him? But it doesn't look like it, because Charles Leclerc's having a look on the outside of Max, and Max is defending as much as he can. I'm pretty sure that's Max. That might actually be Alex. Not quite sure. No, that is Max, from what I'm seeing. So Max is defending as much as he can off of Charles, but Charles... no, actually, that's Alex. That is Alex. I'm sorry, I just got really confused by that. That's Alex defending off of Charles. So, maybe team orders did come into play, and I guess Alex had to back off and let Max pursue on for Valtteri and Lewis. But I think Lewis is long gone by now. I mean, look at Lewis; he's all the way ahead of all the other traffic, So Wait, that wasn't even Lewis, that was Valtteri. So, yeah, it's definitely obvious that Lewis has pulled away significantly from the others. So, Red Bull are going to need a miracle from Mercedes to, pull a retirement or having to take the car in for engine replacement or anything of the sorts. But easy overtake done by Max, and it looks like up ahead. I'm not sure who that is up ahead, actually, but looking at Alex Albon, he's fallen behind the Williams of George Russell, so Russell's actually overtaken Albon. So I'm not sure what's going on with Albon's car, because he's just fallen behind 2 places. He's fallen behind one of the back markers, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but oh, no wait, never mind, Albon's going for a move on the outside of Russell, maybe into turn 1. Can he make the move stick? It's most likely you will, and he's still side by side, heading into turn 2. Russell's still fighting. As you remember, Russell's hard to overtake around here, but Albon finally gets the move done. So Russell's definitely proven that fighting spirit, definitely giving himself recognition to Mercedes. Like I said, possibly getting a seat for 2021. That's something we've got to wait and find out. But yeah, Russell's got the good fighting spirit, and he'll be defending off of what looks like Norris for quite a while. So yeah, Lewis Hamilton's long gone, but that seems like Pierre Gasly is now going after Valtteri Bottas, who's a little held up by some traffic. But I don't think it'll be an issue for Valtteri, because on the straight, as we know, Mercedes got the good straight line speed, so that shouldn't be an issue for him. Around the straight parts of the track. So we'll just have to wait and see for that part of the race. But Gasly's just alone by himself now, so he's just got to pursue Valtteri and to hope that the traffic really does benefit into his favor. But from what I'm seeing, he's just got to save as much energy as he can and fuel. And it looks like in the distance, Max Verstappen makes a move, and it looks like Alex Albon's making a move on Charles Leclerc into the hairpin. He takes the inside line, but it's not enough, because Charles Leclerc gets an extraordinary exit, and he gets a brilliant exit, and now heading into the final corner. Yeah, he's got a brilliant exit out of the hairpin. So that was very unexpected from Charles, because the inside line is proven to be really strong, but I guess into that hairpin, the outside line was just really beneficial. Maybe, I think Charles may have squeezed Albon a lot into the hairpin, meaning he had to take too much curve, so I think Albon may have backed off a bit. But that was good fighting and defense from Charles, and Albon's going to try that once more, but hopefully he doesn't need to end up in a crash, which I'm sure Red Bull does not want, along with Ferrari. But looking at Pierre Gasly now, so Valtteri Bottas has successfully overtaken Giovinazzi like it was nothing. So yeah, as expected, Giovinazzi has been overtaken, and he's already been caught up by Gasly. So Gasly's got the better pace, as we know, because, well, it's common sense that Alfa Romeo are just slower than AlphaTauri. So will Gasly make the move on the straight? It's very likely, but actually Verstappen's getting quite close to Gasly. So maybe Gasly's quite slow and Verstappen's just significantly faster than the both of them. So maybe Verstappen does have that straight line speed that we all didn't see. But what a dummy that Gasly pulled on the straight. Giovinazzi fell for it quite easily. I'm not gonna lie, because it seemed Giovinazzi had thought he was going onto the right, but yeah, Gasly pulled a dummy, and wait, Gasly's ended up in the pits anyways, so I'm not sure what the point of that was, but maybe it was just to get some clean air to pull away from Verstappen as much as possible. But into the pits he goes. Now, what tires will he go onto? I think he might go onto mediums to the end of this race. Let's see what he goes on to. Yeah, he's going onto the medium set of tires, so that two-stop and onto the softs is really beneficial, as we just saw. That worked really well for AlphaTauri. He gained a lot of positions after that switch, and we saw the skills he has into each corner. And maybe I think he's adjusting to the track a little bit more, because as we remember at the start, we had said he wasn't showing good performance. But looking at it now, he's shown some fairly good comebacks. And as we remember, that double overtake he made on the two Red Bulls after their stop. So, maybe Gasly's just, readjusting to the track and proving his worth to AlphaTauri and Red Bull. So, but looking at Sebastian Vettel, So, I'm not sure what's going on with Vettel. He's shown a good comeback, but he's going to need to make another stop soon, because I'm pretty sure he hasn't done no, he has done one pit stop, but that was for, I think, maybe his front wing change, possibly, but, yeah, Vettel's going to do another pit stop. We're on to lap 14 now, so we're around, like, the middle stages of this race, and I think Vettel's going to try his absolute hardest to pull off what Gasly pulled off. As you remember, you know, he gained on all the others and ended up overtaking the Red Bulls, but I don't think that's going to be the case for much longer, because I think since Gasly's on a newer set of tires, he will pull away from from Vettel. I think that was Gasly, at least. Might have been Kvyat, but they both have similar helmets, so I really couldn't tell. Now into the pits goes Kimi Räikkönen. It's quite a slow stop. He had to let the Williams pass of George Russell. So yeah, so Russell comes out behind Kimi Räikkönen. So maybe Räikkönen will pull away from Russell. I'm not quite sure, but Russell has shown, like I said, good fighting performance in this race. So he should be able to catch up with no problem. So I don't know how Russell's going to pull it off, but he's going to have to defend off of what looks like Kevin Magnussen. Yeah, Kevin Magnussen. He's going to need to defend off of him, because Magnussen's already done his stop, so he's on more of a warmed up set of hard tires, because the hard tires are hard to warm up. So I guess it's in the name for a reason. So I don't know how Russell's going to pull it off, but he's going to need to find a way to balance, you know, pulling away and defending at the same time, which is a really hard thing to do. But looking up ahead, who is that up ahead, actually? That looks like Alex Albon. He's made a move on Giovinazzi, I think. Yeah, he made a move on Giovinazzi, and he's now got to catch up to Sebastian Vettel? No, Charles Leclerc, sorry, Charles Leclerc. He's got to catch up to Charles. And looks like Max, he's got a really large gap compared to Charles. And now I guess he's hunting down both Mercedes to get up into the important points position. Because as I've said multiple times, the points in this championship are really important since there's only 5 races. And considering the next race is going to have to be really, really good for Red Bull to, you know, take the Constructors and Drivers' Championship, but it's not looking very hopeful looking at their positions right now, because it looks like Albon's kind of stuck behind Charles, and I don't think he's gaining anytime soon, and Max is just nowhere near the Mercedes, let alone Bottas. Sorry, not nowhere near Bottas, let alone Mercedes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see from Max and how we can catch up fast enough to both Lewis and Valtteri. So, but yeah, looking at Lewis, he's got a magnificent gap. Like, that's magnificent. I don't think he's made a single mistake this race. That's a large gap. I don't even think Bottas was seen as Lewis entered the hairpin. I don't even think Bottas was seen exiting that long right-hander. But that's not looking good for, well, Bottas, Verstappen and Albon, or Red Bull themselves. So yeah, not looking good for Red Bull currently, so they're going to need to gain as much as they can. Yellow flags actually on the straight. There seems to be a car going slow. Wait, that's Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen's going slow. So that means Max Verstappen has retired from the Grand Prix. This is not good for Red Bull at all in the championship, or good for Verstappen, as a matter of fact. So this has not gone well for Red Bull at all this race. Red Bull are on their knees at this point because they've got nothing left to fight with. They've got nothing to fight, because now Max Verstappen, the only championship contender, is out of the Chinese Grand Prix, and that was the only chance he had to make up for that crash he had in France. And now all Lewis has to do, he just needs to finish the race in the points position. That's all he needs to do now. So as long as Lewis doesn't have a mechanical issue, he should be able to win the championship. So yeah, all Lewis needs to do is finish in the points position, and he's won the championship. So it's not looking good for Red Bull or Max. So Max has just got to sit there praying in the paddock, hoping that Lewis retires or needs to fall down into the back markers and get held up by some more traffic. But I don't think it's really hopeful for Red Bull anymore. I think Red Bull's just gonna need to rely on Albon to, well, clutch the victory or podium for Red Bull. But it's not looking hopeful, like I've said, for Red Bull currently. But I think that, yeah, Charles is now into the pits, so he needs to make a fast stop and catch up to Albon as soon as possible, because we just saw Charles is a lot faster than Albon. So he needs to make a fast stop. He switches onto another set of mediums, and he had to wait a little bit for Norris to overtake and do his pit stop. So a slightly slow stop from Charles, and he's fallen a bit further back than he would have wanted. And I think, yeah, so we can see Gasly and Kvyat both outside, behind and in front of Carlos Sainz. So Sainz, as we remember, had a bit of, needed to change his front wing and was falling down a lot because of that damage dealt to his front wing, and he was really slow. But I think since he did his pit stop and he needed to change his front wing, which takes a lot of time to do, yeah, I think that Sainz, he's going to be a lot faster now, up to speed of what McLaren expects of him. So how this works out for both AlphaTauris, I'm not quite sure, because Kvyat, he's holding a good gap in between him and Sainz, but Sainz seems to be, barely holding off of Gasly. And as I said that, I'm not sure if you just saw, but Gasly got quite a lot of wheel spin out of the exit of that very difficult corner to master, I must say, because either you take it carefully but you're really slow, or you take a really risky speed exit and you'll spin. So wait, it looks like Carlos Sainz is making a move into the hairpin, but Pierre Gasly up the inside of both of them into the hairpin, and Pierre Gasly gets the move on both of them. He gets out ahead of the two cars. So and now they're both into the pits anyway, so there's no point of him making another overtake. So it seems Gasly's managed to do that twice this race. Once on Giovinazzi and a second time on Sainz and Kvyat. But let's see where Kvyat comes out ahead, whether he comes out ahead of Carlos Sainz or not. So he gets a fairly good stop. I think he's onto soft tires now, is he? No, he's onto medium, sorry. I thought he was on hards, but no, he's onto a second set of mediums, but he does come out behind Sainz, as we got a slight glimpse of. But onto lap 18 of 28, so there's 11 laps remaining of this Grand Prix, and now it's all down to Ocon to hold that position for Renault, because Renault have had an interesting race. They've only had a good race at the beginning, which was Bahrain, as you remember, because Ricciardo had to do some serious defending, but ended up giving way to Gasly, who ended up taking P5, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's not been the best season for Renault, but they can only sit and wait till they get to Abu Dhabi to see where they end up. But yeah, looking at Lewis now, he just needs to finish into the points position, or finish where he is right now, and he's won the championship. But it doesn't look like there's any faults. We got nothing from Mercedes saying that he's got an issue. So I think it's very likely that Lewis might take the championship win, but we can't speak too soon, because anything can happen. As we saw, Max ended up retiring from this race. So yeah, we can't speak too soon, because we never know. There may be a safety car that comes out, and then Valtteri Bottas might take the lead and end up crashing with him. But that's something we can't be sure of, and we just got to wait and see till the end of the race and where everyone finishes. But if we think of Lewis's recap of the entire season, he's been really strong since Canada, because ever since Canada he's won every race, and Verstappen only won the first race and ended up finishing, I'm pretty sure he finished second in Canada and finished 10th or 9th in France. So yeah, not good for Red Bull, and really, really good for Mercedes. So yeah, I think Mercedes it's easy to say that they've held a strong lead for the Constructors' Championship. And even after this race, I think if they stay where they are now, they still won't have won. They still wouldn't have won the constructors, because looking at what we've got now, it would be a 40-point lead ahead of Red Bull. So Red Bull would still have the opportunity to take the constructors championship. So you know, that's something we've got to wait to see for Abu Dhabi. But now, as we look on to lap 20, everyone's got an equidistant between each driver, and I don't think Stroll's anywhere near getting close to P3, which is Alex Albon. I think that's Albon. Yeah, I think it is. So, yeah, Stroll's holding a good P4, and Perez, if we look at him, he's got... I think he's defending off of Ricardo right now. So, yeah, Ricardo... Yeah, as we remember, Ricardo had to do a lot of defending at the beginning of Bahrain, and we haven't seen much, well, good upfront performances by him since Bahrain. And we got a little glimpse of him in France, and he made a few overtakes here and there, but was quite tangled up with the back markers. I think it was due to a strategy call by Renault, which didn't work out into his favor in the end. But, yeah, hopefully Renault can make up for that in, you know, the late stages of this race. But Perez, he's going to do his absolute best as well to make up for the mistakes he's made in the past. But I don't think he's made too many. Stroll didn't have a good first race in Bahrain. As you remember, he retired, and then he just had to make up for it, that retirement every race that we've had so far. And Canada wasn't exactly his best race he could have had at his home Grand Prix, but he ended up making up for it in France. So yeah, let's see where Racing Point end up after this race, and we'll have a look at the Constructors' Championship. But looking at this small pack, I guess you could say, Vettel's done his last stop, and he's onto the hard set of tires, along with George Russell, who's done a one stop because of you know, at the back markers they started on mediums and they went onto hards. So let's see if Vettel makes a move. He's got the better speed on the straight line. Surprisingly, Russell doesn't fight off Vettel as much. He just pushes him wide, but he's fighting a lot on Sainz, and Sainz makes a move up the inside into the hairpin. Can he come out ahead? But yeah, now it seems Russell's fighting. Will he keep the position into the final corner? No, I think he's going to need to give way. He got pushed onto the grass a bit, into the apex. So yeah, he ended up giving way to Carlos Sainz. So yeah, I wonder how that went. So okay, so I think Ocon, he's got a fairly decent lead, and he's got a fairly decent lead on Gasly, sorry. And Gasly's going to do his everything to catch up to Ocon towards the end stages of this race. And lap 22 or 28 is not looking promising for Gasly. Yeah, Gasly's shown good pace, but I don't think it's good enough to overtake Ocon for, I'm not sure what position. I think he's going to overtake him for P5 or P7. I'm not quite sure. I don't exactly have a good look at the positioning currently, but yeah, and I think we got a slight glimpse. Yeah, Charles Leclerc's getting closer to Gasly every lap. So Gasly's slightly slower than Charles. So Charles is expected to make a move at around, let's say, the final lap. Because looking at his pace and what we remember, he was defending off of Albon, and as a matter of fact, he was slightly pulling away from Albon before he made a pit stop. And bearing in mind that his mediums were far more worn than Albon's hards. But, you know, I guess maybe that pace isn't being replicated around this stage of the race. So, actually, I don't even think anyone's pulled off the same kind of strategy that Gasly's pulled off. I don't think anyone else has. I think he's the only one who's managed to pull off that strategy and worked out. So, I don't know if that strategy's worked out into his benefit. That we'll just have to look at the end result and where he started, where he finished. But yeah, Stroll's holding a good P4, and he'll gain some really good points for Racing Point, which is 12 points, if you wanted to know. So yeah, if he gets 12 points for Racing Point, that'll be really good. Just like how Ferrari got those good extra points in France, because both Ferraris ended up finishing in the points, and that was like, I'm pretty sure the first time both Ferraris finished in the points. And I'm pretty sure there was only one race where one of the Ferraris finished in the point position. So actually, if we think about it, first race both Ferraris finished outside the points position. Second race, I'm pretty sure only Charles got 10th place, or either both of them finished outside of the points. And then third race, which was France, they finished both in the points. So both Ferraris not exactly at the best start, but they're starting to make up for it, and hopefully they have a good race in Abu Dhabi. But looking at this performance done by Sebastian Vettel at the start of the race, it was not good for it was not good at all for Vettel. Vettel's just not had a good season in overall. So yeah, hopefully Ferrari makes up for it and shows that they still got the fighting spirit they once had last year. But yeah, hopefully Ferrari makes up for it. But looking at Valtteri Bottas, he's just, I guess, there. He's not exactly fighting anyone. He's not defending. He's got no one to hold back. Before, he just needed to hold back. Max Verstappen, but Max Verstappen's not in the race anymore. So he's just gonna be there, just waiting for something to happen, and then eventually take over Lewis's position if he ever retires. But I don't think retirement is expected by Lewis at this stage of the race. But yeah, I don't think we'll be expecting retirement from him anytime soon. Now Sainz, he's making up for positions as expected, and looking at Giovinazzi, he's defending off of Kvyat, who's looking quite quick as well. But Sainz, will he make a move into the long straight? I think he will, because he's got that straight line speed, Renault engine. So let's see if he makes a move. He's going side by side with Giovinazzi. It looks like a fairly easy move. And looking back, Kvyat's made an easy move as well on Kimi Räikkönen. So both Alfa Romeos not showing good pace on the straights. Yeah, it looks fairly visible that the Alfa Romeos aren't exactly good on the straights. So maybe Ferrari engine cars in general just aren't showing good pace at all this season. So yeah, maybe it's an engine issue with Ferrari this season. Hopefully, it's resolved for next season if it's just a genuine seasonal thing they've got going on right now. But yeah, it's not looking fairly great for Ferrari and the Ferrari-powered cars in general. Now, looking at Charles, he's closed in a lot on Gasly, but Gasly's also closed in a lot on Ocon. So I think Charles might actually overtake Gasly before Gasly gets even close to Ocon. So maybe Charles should just take it from Gasly and then just end up towing Gasly all the way to Ocon, because Ocon just seems to be a lot faster than Gasly on the straight and around every part of the track. Although he's closed in on him, I think it's very clear that Charles is just a lot faster around this track than both of them. So maybe Gasly should just let Charles through and just tag along and use that slipstream to just get closer to Ocon. But maybe that's just not the strategy they're going to be going for. Looking at Ricciardo, he's getting closer to Perez. As we remember, he was quite far away, but Renault just seems to be faster on this track, actually. So, although Perez has shown good performance in the past 3 races, I guess around here he's just not as strong. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting race at the start, but now heading into the end stages, it looks pretty solid in the running order. Yeah, it looks like the running order is going to start solidifying, because it seems everyone's sticking with their current positioning. And Sainz and Vettel, the two people who got affected by the starting incident. So I think Sainz might make a move, actually, because he's on the medium tires and Vettel's on the hard tires. So maybe it's not solidifying just yet, and maybe Sainz might make a move on Vettel, maybe even on the straight, because as we know, the Ferrari engine isn't good on the straight. I thought they were at the start, but it's become quite obvious that, Ferrari just doesn't have that pace. So, yeah, I think Sainz might make a move eventually. And I think Norris is the only McLaren that's shown good performance since Canada. Because, as we remember, Sainz did not have a good race in Canada or France. So, Norris is just the only person, I guess you could say, representing McLaren at this point. So, maybe Sainz will end up moving to a different team, or even being let go from McLaren, because he's not shown good performance this entire season apart from Bahrain. But actually, it looks like Gasly's pulled away from Leclerc quite a bit since we last saw, and he's closed into Ocon a lot more. So maybe all he's been doing is saving energy and just taking it all out of the straight. I think we can see a slight glimpse of how much ERS he's got left. He's not got much. It looks like around 15% ERS he's got remaining, or even 20 around this point of the race. And he's not good at the exit of that corner. I'm not gonna lie. He's falls behind, and then Charles gets fairly close to him. But then around this stage of the track, he's just a lot faster. So maybe it's just around the fact that he's got better tires than Ocon, since the mediums are faster than hard tires. So maybe this is where this two-stop comes into play, and how it's a lot more powerful. So let's see how fast he closes in on the straight. He doesn't exactly have the slipstream. And heading into the hairpin, he gets fairly close to the gearbox of Ocon, but not close enough to make a move. The question is, will he make an overtake? That's something we're gonna need to look into a lot more as we look at this lot, because Charles he's fallen a bit behind from Gasly, because Gasly's just pulling away constantly because he's got that slipstream on Ocon and that DRS. Although Charles has that DRS, he doesn't have the same slipstream as Gasly does, and Gasly gets very close and he locks up, as he nearly went for a move around the outside of Ocon. But I guess if he went for that move, he probably would have lost too much time to Charles. So I don't know what's going on around here, because we're seeing different performance from each of the drivers. Gasly's showing, he's not fast on the exit. Ocon's showing he's fast on the exits, and along with Charles, but both of those two drivers aren't showing they're fast on the straights. So since Gasly's most likely faster on the straight, he might make a move into the hairpin coming up now, because he's got good because Gasly's got good entry, just not good exits. Quite horrific, I must say. But Gasly, can he make a move on this straight? We are on the final lap, by the way. We are on the final lap, and can Gasly make a move? He's getting close. He's got the DRS. He's closer to Ocon than Charles is to Gasly. Can he make a move into the hairpin? He's going to be brave. And he's at the inside. Makes a side-by-side. They tap wheels. But can Gasly get ahead? Ocon's still fighting back. He's ahead of Gasly into the final corner, sorry. And it looks like Gasly comes out ahead. He solidifies. But it looks like Charles, he's going to have a move. He's going to have a look at Ocon. Now Gasly's defending off of Charles, who has a look into turn 1. And he goes wide into turn 1. Meaning Ocon has a look on the inside. And can he make a move on the outside into turn 2? He gets a better exit. But those hard tires are completely worn compared to those fresher mediums. And Ocon might come out ahead of Charles here in this situation. He goes side by side, and he clips the back of Pierre Gasly, and he loses the front end plate, meaning he falls behind Charles Leclerc. So now Charles, it's all down to him to make the move on Pierre Gasly, because Gasly's now on the final lap, as we know. He's got to defend off of Charles Gasly, so I'm not sure how Gasly's going to do it, because maybe Charles took some damage from that, because he got fairly close to Gasly into turn 4, and we got a race winner, Lewis Hamilton, meaning we have our world champion. Lewis Hamilton takes the championship home successfully for Mercedes, and that should be his first world championship win in the Neon Short Championship. That is Lewis Hamilton's first world championship win. What a championship Lewis has had this season. But it's not over yet. Can Charles get a move into the final corner? He might have a chance actually, because as we know, he's not got good. Gasly doesn't have good exits, but I think it's just gonna have to work for Gasly around now, as he takes a solidified position, as he's held or shown that he can gain ever since the first pit stop. Driver of the day goes to Daniel Ricciardo. I'm not sure where he started. We'll have to look into that later. But congratulations to Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton, a one-time world champion, his first world championship win in the Near Short Championship. What a race we've had today. What a race, especially in the midfield. And it was a very, very nerve-wracking society in the Mercedes paddock, and I guess in the end it's just worked out into their benefit, and Mercedes are going to be very happy after that. Look at Lewis Hamilton, he's taken the first step. Alex Albon takes second place, so well done to Albon. Wait, actually no, I think Albon's taken third, sorry. Albon's taken third, and congratulations to them. Look at Valtteri Bottas taking second place, so yeah, Mercedes should have 40-point difference between Red Bull now, but what a race pulled off by Mercedes. Now, looking at the race results, we can see Lewis got a fairly decent race, pulling off a 45-minute race, consistently taking first place. Valtteri Bottas got the fastest lap, meaning he gets 19 points. He gets that bonus point. So, as we look down. Daniel Ricciardo started from 12th, got to 4th. Gasly falling from 4th to 7th, so not good for Gasly this race. Now looking at the Drivers' Championship, but yeah, as we can see, our world champion Lewis Hamilton has won, and Albon takes second place from Verstappen, as Albon's the only Red Bull that scored this race. So now it's just a fight for second place in the championship, because it's between Gasly, Bottas, Verstappen, and Albon. For second place in the championship, it's only, I think, roughly around 16-point difference. Or even 14, sorry. It might be a 14-point... Yeah, it's a 14-point difference between 5th and 2nd. So, can Gasly take second before the end of the race? I'm not quite sure, but looking down, Daniel Kvyat didn't get the right amount of points he would have wanted. Sainz didn't get into the points position. Ocon got some fairly decent points this race, tying up with what seemed like Lando Norris. Now looking at the constructors, McLaren have fallen down after that not so good performance after this race, and it looks like Ferrari and Racing Point have benefited a little. So who comes out ahead of between Ferrari and McLaren? Just have to wait and see. But the Constructors' Championship fight is still on for first. And anyways, we'll wait and see you next time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the race finale, season finale, sorry. Anyways, we'll see you there. Goodbye.